check, 1, 2. Wow, first time I'm saying that. No, I like the feeling. Hello, check. Most kids, you want to go up on stage and to check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Joining us on this episode of Creative Conversations is Santoshi Kittur. Santoshi has worked for over 22 years and she's worked with organizations like Infosys, McKinsey, PwC, and today is a Chief Technology Officer at 361, one of the largest wealth management firms in the country. She's worked at the intersection of technology, transformation, and trust. She's been an evangelist of technology and transformation, and she's been driving digital transformations for large organizations as well. She today believes in what is called as an AI-first thinking. So in this conversation, we're going to dive deeper on AI-first thinking. Santoshi, thank you so much for giving us your time for what we call as creative conversation. So what I do in this podcast is I meet the most creative people I find in my life and try to learn from them and have a conversation with them. So today, I know you've been at the cusp or intersection of technology, transformation, and trust. So I've been really fortunate to have heard you speak about the kind of work you've been doing. So I thought everybody should hear about it. So can you break down what is AI and why the world is changing so fast because of it and everything you know about it in simple layman terms?
Wow, that's a brilliant question. It's the $1 million question, or probably
Yes.
the $1 billion question. I'm just going to go back into the past. I think the word artificial intelligence has come from a place which has been there for a long time. Any piece of code, anything that is intelligence that is not like you and I having this conversation right now, where we have outsourced that intelligence to a machine, to something not living, has always been artificial intelligence. So we've had artificial intelligence from the time we've had the first line of code. So what's different now? Artificial intelligence or code, as we know, has progressed over time from the very early days, from the Turing machine to the large IBM, supercomputers. They were primarily used for calculations, and then we started adding logic to it. There was code that was written as logic. But one feature about AI, just the word AI by itself, is determinism. The world that we've lived in until now has been deterministic. The outputs are based on rules, based on methods, defined by what we're trying to do. And it was designed for a world where if there was something that was very standardized, repeatable, and committable to a logic, it was done by AI, and that was called robotic process automation. It was called robotic process, RPA, which is standardized, repeatable tasks written as code, not needing humans to do it.
Correct.
And where did that go? So then we said, okay, we like these repeatable, standalone bots. Let's say go read this document, pull that document, standalone, that's great. But can we make it into a flow? And so came intelligence process automation. But the intelligence aspect in IPA is still deterministic, is code again. So the intelligence is brought by code because we say if this then that, or a series of nested ifs, and suddenly the robot is, or the bot agent, or the RPA is also called an agent. So by itself, it is an agent because it has intelligence, but that intelligence is deterministic. That is what we have given it, and it's largely binary, multiple outputs, but design underlying it is all binary, right? Numerical binary logic or multi-functional logic. The moment you brought IPA to it, so a bunch of bots that did standalone things that you put into a flow, which I remember many years ago, PwC in our China office, we had built bots that were able to extract corporate data from balance sheets and P&Ls and go update a form to the government tax payment website, update it, fill it out. So that was a process where you had an extraction agent, you had a filling agent, you had a checking agent, and all that put together became IPA.
So that is intelligent.
It now ran a process.
On
its own. So not only were you able to have standalone unitary pieces of code that did tasks, but then you spun them together with a mix of human in the middle, saying, okay, now send this to Saveen for approval. When it comes back, then upload it. So it becomes IPA. And today we have agentic AI. So what's the difference? Because you already have a bunch of agents and you have an intelligent workflow, that's IPA. So what's agentic AI? The biggest difference here is the intelligence that you were putting in the workflow was deterministic, human written, human logic based intelligence. In agentic AI, you're bringing the language model, the inference, the capability, the prefrontal cortex capability that we bring to the table when we write the code on how the machine should work. That inferencing logic, that prefrontal cortex is coming from the large language model.
And it doesn't need us anymore.
So essentially it could write the bot, it could write that tiniest piece of code saying go do this, and it could decide I need to send it to this because this is early in the morning and this needs to go to 3 people. It can decide all of that. How? By watching a pattern. Because we do the same. We say that every morning if there is an alert, if any of my servers is down, there has to be an immediate alert within a certain number of seconds. It can start watching, but today we're not there yet. But where we are, it's getting there.
Yeah.
Where we are, the autonomous nature is not there yet. But can it read a lot of data and find the patterns and start making inferences the way we would do? Absolutely. So can it read like a whole document or a series of documents and say, this is the sentiment I see, this is the bias I see, just like we do. So from RPA to IPA to agentic AI and then generative AI. In generative AI, you are generating outcomes. In agentic AI, you're using the language model for inferencing to finish a flow. So they're kind of, you see the difference?
And what is the significant difference between any other technology that's come in to agentic AI or AI?
This is like something we've never had, Saveen. Every piece of technology that we've had till now has assisted us, has enabled us. This is a better, or rather, a version of us. So it is not a tool anymore, it's not a enabler anymore. This is our brain, sort of as close as you can get to the human brain, and potentially to a much more, it's a crazy world out there. If you start thinking, it would sound like I'm nuts, but that's it. This is not technology. This is something else.
So is there fear or hope in this? It's something else when you say it.
I love that question because everything has 2 sides to it. Otherwise, it wouldn't manifest.
Correct.
The fact that it has manifested, it has to have 2 sides. And if we are not seeing both the sides, then we are missing something. And I think what's really cool about this, so I just want to step back. If you look at nuclear capability, when we built that, there was a lot of fear in the world on how it can be used. It's the same capability that has powered up cities, villages, nuclear health, cancer treatment. The upside has been brilliant. So there has to be
a way to channelize this.
Yes, there has to be. The question is how you use it. Can we use it for destruction? Absolutely. Can we use it for development, growth, progression? Absolutely. Same with.
I want to just zoom out, and when you spoke about deterministic and probabilistic, can you just break it down for us in a 2x2 format that you were explaining?
Yeah. So anything that is deterministic has a very pointed, measurable outcome.
Okay.
So anything like a yes, no is deterministic, or if I say the answer of this question, 1 + 1 is equal to 2, or if how many people are there in this country, we have the population number 146 crores, that's very deterministic. And how do you determine that? Through another set of rules. And the rules are set. You don't define those rules on the fly.
So anything that you can determine using a set of rules is deterministic.
Logic, some sort of logic.
And on the other axis?
Now, probabilism is something very interesting because you could have a state which is not necessarily the right answer. So when do we use a lot of determinism? That's why language is interesting, because it's the only probabilistic medium we have. Everything else is very concrete. Concepts which are concrete are represented very well deterministically. Physics, maths, progression of disease is probabilistic, right? While you think you apply deterministic methods to it, the progression is not something that you can determine. You can determine to a certain level of accuracy, and sometimes you can be accurate, but you can't perhaps consistently say that I will be accurate in this method. And language is one of those modalities which allows for probabilism.
So if I put it in more simple terms, and again we may lose the meaning, but probabilistic thinking is art and language in that
Absolutely.
axis, and then
Abstraction.
science and mathematics is in the deterministic axis.
I guess science and mathematics is hugely abstract as well, because it's just that what we have experienced of it
Correct.
is
Or way it was
deterministic.
taught to us in school, like breaking it down
Yes,
into a set
yes,
of
yes.
rules.
Because the art of the possible on math,
Yes.
people who are able to conceive new constructs are doing it because they're able to abstract it,
Correct.
take it beyond. So I think everything in itself has a deterministic and a probabilistic, and I mean
So-
that's life itself.
Yeah. So where are we? For example, if you have to map a human being or what we do on this map of 2x2 versus an AI or generative AI and agentic AI, how does that pan out?
I will end up going into the consciousness question, but let's go there since you've touched upon the subject. I think the human, what's interesting about being human is two humans, no two humans will necessarily have the same response to the same experience.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example of probability, and it's a very good example of all that makes us, which
Yeah.
is visible, invisible, conscious, unconscious, subconscious, right? With the eye today, there is this big question, does it even have consciousness? And the way I look at it is, if you're teaching it everything you have that you think you know, and the sum total of everything, everybody is constantly learning and learning, could it perhaps develop? And we may say, no, it can't develop consciousness. No, but it does. But that's what is our consciousness, how we respond, how we take in a signal, how we process it, how we respond. And there are a million responses. So there's no right or wrong response, each to his or her own, each to his or own belief systems, karma, whatever you may want to call it. Now, if you're teaching something, all of that, can it perhaps start? And it has a much bigger vision than an individual. So here's the other thing about AI. Intelligence for us is always ours plus collective. And the collective is still limited. I can never say that I have access to the universal collective intelligence. I'm not saying information or knowledge. I'm saying intelligence. And that is why this is bigger than anything else, because the universal collective intelligence is looking at the sum of all processors, and I say us, out there, plus collective takeaways, and that's a very, very powerful construct. I mean, it's always debatable, but it's truly collective, and it's more collective than where each one of us can, each one of us can think about where we stand.
Sure. I'm just thinking out loud, Santoshi, as you're speaking. So what can generative AI or agentic AI definitely not do is what you're saying is have a conscience, or have a sub. It can have. Okay.
Yeah, because if you say to it, how do we have a conscience? So let's step back. What builds our consciousness, right? And conscience. Somebody says to do not hurt others. That's sense of conscience. So for example,
from our childhood, somebody has built it into our system in some way of training.
Yeah, that is one. And also our own value systems and our own philosophy. So while we may have come, let's say, from a land which is fraught by war, if you are from Syria and that's what you've lived in, would you always look at retaliation or war as the way of being? Not necessary. So while there is a way of being, you still have your own journey, which is deeply your own. And therefore that mix you can never say that when I mix these two, I will get this answer, right?
I can't say AI can't dream, right? Because hallucination is...
It can absolutely dream, and I want to, just go back to the conscience question.
Right.
It keeps learning what it has to do. Who is teaching it? What is consensus?
What is it learning?
Yeah. We are giving it the guardrails, just like we were told, and do not use bad language when somebody says something to you. And how did we learn game theory? AI will learn it even faster, and X versions to the power of X of game theory. And so can it have one? Yes, but where does it come from? It has come from what we are giving it. So if we are saying that it is not from us, that is wrong. Either building the guardrails to say what it can do, that has come from us. Not creating the guardrails and letting it do where's that come from us, right? It is basically just picking up everything. So we are defining what is conscience. But if you talk about, and I just want to take some examples of where things differ here, and is a very fine line. If we look at people who had the ultimate intellect, and I want to bring in the intellect into this, because there is intelligence, intellect, and there is consciousness, right? If you look at people like Jeffrey Epstein, they had a lot of intelligence, intellect, which helped them get to wherever are or wherever they are, whatever you may say. There was something which got them there, but they did not have the consciousness to when to stop. Now, can a machine be a runaway situation like this? Absolutely. Why not? Because it's coming from the same baseline. Who is giving it the baseline? It's us.
The significant difference in technology that AI brings to the table is that it is a more powerful version of us in terms of how it has its cognitive abilities to think and so on.
Yes.
At the same time, you were talking about how IBM's Deep Blue played chess and Gary Kasparov won it. So I was watching, I think, Demis Hassabis's entire journey. I don't know if you've seen that documentary. And he says, I was there because he was a chess player and the person who built DeepMind, right? And he says, when I watched that incident, or they were watching it on TV or somewhere where Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov, he says, I was more wowed by how Gary Kasparov played as a human being.
Yes.
Because he does not just play chess, he can also do other things that humans can, but this machine can only play chess and do nothing else. And he says, I was inspired to, build something that's more human-like.
That's brilliant, and that's emotion. See, what it lacks today, or then, and between then and now, if you actually see, increasingly people are choosing to use Gen AI as companion because of the empathy, which is shocking. Because you would have thought humans, when would you turn to, and given how fragile we are becoming as a generation, increasingly fragile, right? From worrying about being eaten up by the saber-toothed tiger that kind of got your adrenaline rush going, to everyday, daily, constant, low-grade fear, right? Oh, this email, oh, that flight, oh, these exams, continuous low-grade. So the fragility quotient is extremely high because you're now, every second, something is making you worry. And if you look in that context, everyone then has sharp edges. And so two people with sharp edges really can't, even if they intend to, really beyond a point, help each other. So it's all sharp edges hitting sharp edges. So here comes something that accepts you as you are, and it seems totally, you eventually, early days when this was going on, people said, oh, it's a machine. Now you will be surprised at how quickly the quantum of people who are turning to AI companions is just growing. So we cannot deny that. I mean, I'd love to be a naysayer, but the most important thing in this world that we're living in is to not deny.
So, interestingly, what should we do? Because it is scary on one side, that something is better than us in terms of its thinking, the way it can do work. And here we are thinking, what will I be doing next? So,
I don't know. We're already here. So that's the first thing. Is there a door to go back, go away, run away? No. Is the future rolling faster than we can handle as a human race? Yes. Are our bodies biologically, physiologically, are we designed for that pace of change? No. Right? It's definitely destabilizing change because we're no longer looking, like I said, at a tool or a platform. It is intelligence, right? So we are here. I think I don't have the answer, but I always say that be curious, be constantly curious about, and that's adaptability, right? If you're not curious, I mean, the foundational nature of human life or humanity has been adapting. Survival of the fittest is based on adapting. And if we are here in a world that seems to be changing very fast, adapting will come with curiosity. If we just sit here and consume and say, I am busy with my everyday life of my work and my scrolling and my interests and my friends, and it's fine, this is another one of those years or a series of years or a decade. we will be really surprised. So I think curiosity, which is essential for taking what it, putting together the adaptability.
So staying curious without worrying about what future could look like, right?
Yeah, it's not going to help, right?
Yeah.
The worrying.
Yeah.
The worrying, if it could, I mean, we should all worry.
Yeah. Because it's big.
It's big.
Yeah.
But also, I think embracing everything, because we're already here.
Yeah.
So, curiosity, embrace it.
Yeah.
The reason why we're not able to embrace, and I think that's nothing to do with AI, it's about where we are, the generation as mankind, our ability to embrace life is reducing. And that's why there is more separatism, there is more violence, differentiation, denial, and so on and so forth. So given that that is already set in, how do you embrace this? It's easier to just be in denial and play with it. There's the dragon thing, that I have this little pet dragon and it's really cute, and I'm going to use it every day to do my homework, or I'm going to use it to support me as an assistant in my daily tasks. Well, that dragon is going to grow up. And if you think it won't bring out its real dragon essence, and then we don't know what that essence is because it just was our pet and you're feeding it with a bottle, I think that's going to be a very not the best space to be in.
Yeah, we should accept that it's a dragon and it is more powerful than what we know.
Yes, it has definitely. I mean, globally we are seeing it, right? In US, I don't have the latest number, but the number of radiologists who are losing their jobs every year, right? You still need a radiologist to sign a scan report, but now the analysis is being done by machine at a much advanced output as well as quality than human radiologist, which means that we're still accepting it as an assistant. We are saying, because it's so powerful, you need to tame it. Can it be more powerful than you? Absolutely. Therefore, do you need us to say something that is more powerful than us? It seems like oxymoronic a little bit at this point, but that is the only way until we lose track of it, which will happen at some point.
So, just building on that example, right? Like, what if there is an error in the system, and now because radiologists are losing jobs and nobody else studies radiology enough, and we're entirely system dependent, and that error, nobody is there to check, and there's no human in the loop. Cut to 5 years from now.
I think that story to some extent Yuval Harari spoke of in his book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. When he talked about technology and the replacement of humans, he's very beautifully, I probably would not be doing justice to him, but I think the essence of what he was trying to say, and I think he had a chapter on diseases, and it came on the back of COVID. If you look at communicable diseases, a community doctor will be faster in catching what is a communicable disease and its spread than, let's say, somebody who's sitting higher up in the healthcare value chain in a hospital, for example. Your community GP will be the first guy to see it come. Now, what if he doesn't have the skills? If he had the capability to see what others were seeing, maybe in some countries it's moving faster than in others, to have that pattern tracking, to know where is the higher vulnerability. Today, we are all operating without that intelligence. Let's go back to the community doctor concept, or the cancer treatment example, where you look at cancer treatment is primarily protocol, but after what IBM did with Watson, with the Watson program, cancer treatment is no longer protocol. They brought pharmacogenomics into it. I can say that this drug, you're an Indian, female, age 55, this is not going to work for you in this stage of cancer, for this type of cancer. That was not there, right?
It was just had to be tried and
tested. It was protocol, yes, it was protocol. Now you're working with a lot of data, with a lot of data. So I think
that becomes accessible and also very well analyzed. And
yes. Yeah. So whatever we may say, that the human, we have to always say the human is limited by what? By themselves, their knowledge, their ecosystem, and the data they have access to. The moment you bring collective, I keep saying this, collective intelligence, not just collective information, not just access to all the information, but the access to intelligence, you are by far going to go above what an individual can do. Having said that, is that collective intelligence tomorrow, will it have the ability to shut down your grid, right, and take over? Honestly, as a sci-fi watcher, I would say yes, because the pace of change that we've seen in the last 400-500 years it's been unprecedented, and especially after the world wars, and all the innovation has come on the back of the world wars, and everything we're seeing now is coming from there. So it's just crazy. I keep saying that we are not designed as Homo sapiens. We are not designed for the world we are walking into. So what do you do, about that?
So apart from being curious, which is the foundational element of being human, what else, according to you, we should be doing?
Awareness. So one is curious, the other is, because curious suddenly says, yeah, if this is this, then that is that. Oh, this one causes that to happen. Oops, this is... See, with curiosity, you start learning patterns, correlations, causations. That means you have the data. Now, if you have the knowledge, then comes the awareness. You have everything, the ingredients to say, this is this. Why would I stick my hand in there if it's going to bite it off, right? So curiosity is key, awareness is key, and the tools to keep you centered, because every day things are coming in that are constantly designed to decenter us. Like I keep saying, physically, physiologically, not designed for this. And yet every day we are keep shifting. So what is that? So that is where I think the space where the new version of, and we were talking about this earlier, about how the human brain is changing. I mean, earlier days, in the 90s, we visited foreign countries, places where they didn't speak English, China, Hong Kong, parts of different Asia, and we managed with our Google Maps, right? We got around, got by. There was some navigational capability, neural pathways that was working. Now, the moment we are just, a flight has landed, we are looking for the signals so that we can get Google Maps going. And that part of our brain has absolutely sort of gotten muted. It's gone silent. The neural pathways, the neuron activity to that part of the brain is kind of really reduced.
And what you don't use, you lose.
You lose.
Yeah.
Now the question is, are we building new neural pathways? Absolutely. Are we learning newer things faster? Is that very important? No. But the question is to be conscious and aware of what I am actively engaged with. Because one other thing that's happening is, as intelligence takes over, everything is being outsourced. Now, what was our primary frontier as a human? One is the memory part and the other was the prefrontal cortex. Now, increasingly, we are not required to commit to memory much.
So, when you say prefrontal cortex, it's the logical reasoning.
It's a reasoning brain. It's a reasoning brain. Yeah. So, in the olden days, when we had those old phones, which we dialed like this, we remember numbers.
Yeah.
We remembered so many people's numbers, uncles, aunts, families. And now I see the next gen, they can't remember their own phone number. They have to look it up to give it somewhere, right? So, memory by itself is being challenged because information availability on demand is humongous. So there is not much requirement. Generic, I'm talking about a general situation to not have so much committed to memory because it's there anyway.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with what? The prefrontal cortex, our reasoning brain.
Yeah.
And the random access memory next to so I look at it as a processor. I always say that's your processor, and next to it you have a tiny memory which retains stuff.
But all of this is now not needed, in some sense.
I'm not saying it's not needed. It's absolutely and even more needed. It's just that something has come in to mimic it in a much better way. So imagine I'm here and something stands next to me as a digital version of me, hologramic, if you want to imagine something here. It's a hologram of me that is twinning my brain, and my prefrontal cortex there is a power of what I have here. Because that is now powered just not by the information I have access to, or my intelligence or my reasoning. It is powered by collectively. So you can just see now the prefrontal cortex. So you combine that kind of sort of attack superpower availability against what you've got. And you look at the quantum of consumption we are doing, unidirectional consumption, be it content on YouTube or Instagram or just that. Some stuff engages the prefrontal cortex and starts putting stuff in RAM and in memory, but the rest of it may not always. So the question is, but to stay aware and to stay conscious, even more so you need to bring your reasoning, your prefrontal cortex into it. So that is the part which the evolving human brain, when it sees a hologram version of its own processor at X power, what does that mean for my consciousness, for my prefrontal cortex? It's fascinating how now it's like swimming in an ocean with an assistant who is, you don't have to have fear in some ways, and have fear therefore in every way, because you are dependent, reliant, etc. But you can go for a really crazy swim.
Yeah. How does this impact us at work or as an enterprise leader? So if you're running a business, what does this mean to us? Because the world is changing.
So from an enterprise standpoint, everyone across the world is still looking at it as technology, right? And if we think about what happened, and I'm just going to take a step back for a minute, is we look at when Google came around. When Google happened, we had information symmetry. Everybody who had a browser had access to as much information that was out there. We all became equals where that was concerned. Today with generative AI, there is an intelligence symmetry. We have all become equals when it comes to using this incredible intelligence. Now the question is, and what created the knowledge worker in the days of Google was somebody who knew how to use Google and its knowledge information framework well. Right? So those people bubbled up to the top of the knowledge worker, and the knowledge worker has dominated in the last few decades. Right? Now the same thing is happening, but it's intelligence. So who's gonna go on top of it? So where are enterprises? Enterprises today are seeing that this is a phenomenal source of intelligence. It is symmetry. So the race to whoever sort of wants to grow up the chain on this will use this very effectively. So how is everybody using it? So we are still, so there are 2-3 things that are happening with enterprise. It's still seeing it as the pet dragon. That,
so we should, and it's also how an individual looks at it. The enterprise also look at it.
Also because we are seeing, oh, this is another tool, let me use it. So what happens with your pet, it will follow you around. So right now it is, in the beginning, it will follow you around, you will give it a treat and it will be just doing whatever you want it to do. So it's your assistant, right? It becomes your assistant. So where are enterprises today? Pretty much all enterprises which have adopted AI in some way or the other are using it. I'll take your terminology as a silent assistant, but it is still an assistant. So we still have a human first way of working. I'm still doing what I'm doing every day, and randomly I reach out to this to make my day a little more efficient. So it's still acting as an assistant. That's what my assistant does for me. She makes my day brilliantly efficient, easy, and that's how I'm using it. But what's the next level? And I'm just going to refer to your brilliant framework. The next level being AI as a creative amplifier. And what does that really mean? That's where enterprises need to go to next. And what does that creative amplification mean? Is beyond being an assistant, now I have learned so much that I can do 2x of myself, because now I'm doing everything in 1/3 the time, and the remaining 2/3 of my time I'm able to bring in more, collapse processes, create, in what was a very process-led world, and we had humans running that process, it's going to collapse, because with probabilistic abstraction, stateless systems, with all of this knowledge, this nature of what we know, and I quote Satya Nadella on this, and he talks about how everything we know as SaaS is going to die, because they were still built on process, on lots of humans and singularizing the process. Now with intelligence, it will define the process on the go. So the creative amplification is what you're going to do with 2/3 of your time, if you have, and you could do so much more. You could look at your clients differently. And then of course the next step for organizations to take is how do you co-create, and the final one is value creation. And in the value creation space, AI, generative AI systems, go ahead and think and do what they think is best, or even better than what you might think in a limited way. But where enterprises are today, it's still human first. We are trying to fit AI into our ways of working to eventually getting to a place it'll be AI first way of working, and it'll be human in the AI loop. And Saveen, at that point, I don't think operating systems and interfaces will look like what they look today. They cannot.
Is it going to be around human? Because I've seen that technology has made us, it's designed early on to make us more human, but it sort of kills the humanness in it. Today you can talk to a technology and make it do things, which is amazing, which was not possible maybe 5 years, 10 years back. And before that we could not even interact, you had to know coding to even interact with the system. And then they said, why don't you just type it? And the user interface changed. So this is a massive, there is intelligence at scale accessible to you, and we're all on the same page. At the same time, the way we work with it is changing. So our entire way of working is going to shift.
Yeah.
But we don't know where and how and when. So that's...
I think it's, while I agree with you, we don't know when, but I think 2-3 things are certain. For example, initially the engagement was built around the human.
Correct.
So which part of our sensory system could we use to engage? And it was the touch.
Touch.
Right? Now we're using multiple modalities. We use voice, right? We use hearing, and with Google and Meta with the glasses. So we've now got 4 of the 5 senses in some ways. And I use speech rather than taste. But I use speech, touch, voice, and hearing. I mean, vision and hearing. And the future UI is going to be not just with this. It's going to be with all of these.
In combination.
In combination. Because you collapse the modalities, right? So what is multimodal? It can do any of these. And we are definitely seeing that the race for that UI is time bound now. While we don't know when exactly, we definitely know it's within the next 6-8 years. It is definitely, and with the battle going down between Google and Meta, because I always feel Apple is stuck in the phone game. And the moment you bring the UI here, you lose the phone. Right? And the day you bring the UI here close to your face, as in between your eyes, your mouth, and your ears, and your touch, you lose the keyboard, you lose the phone. There's got to be a completely new UI. And because of this UI, the operating system, if the top changes, all the way to the bottom, the engagement of everything changes. So AI as an operating system is what, that's the kind of layered bottom to top and top to bottom change that it's inevitable.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I just want to go back to that enterprise leader's role, who's running a business which is non-tech. And it's doing well, but they're also seeing this little dragon come in and they're like, hey, this is interesting, and they're using it like a toy. What do you think I should do?
So I just see it as the peer pressure to get a dragon first is very high. So your neighbor's got this, everyone's got to have it, your grandmom's using it, so why doesn't the enterprise have it? So that's the first thing that will...
But that's a good start, it's not
It's
bad.
a good start, it's a must start. Because if you're not with it, it'll consume you.
Correct.
So the only way to not get consumed by it is to befriend it. And to understand it as much as it has understood you.
Correct.
So I think the first step is definitely have an generative AI-led program. What does that mean for most enterprise leaders? So here is the second challenge, apart from the fact that there's a lot of peer pressure. The second challenge is basically we are thinking of something that is called technology, not technology, because it's super intelligence, or it's very, very, very big source of intelligence available to everyone. The second challenge is that we are looking at it with the patterns of the past. What are the patterns of the past? The speed of deploying it, the cost. We're saying ROI. Let's see ROI. One of the biggest challenges for technology leaders, including myself, is with every technology, you get asked ROI. Right? Now, this is like saying that will this dragon be a good dragon when it grows up? Or is just going to be a slaying evil dragon? I don't know. I'm doing all the right things. Can you give me ROI? Well, I can't tell because I have to feed it for 5 years to start seeing its nature. Right? So the second challenge, I guess, all the industry leaders will have is justifying ROI on programs like this, which are currently exploratory. And the cost of, it's not like it's exploratory, so I'll just go in my chappals and I really don't need a Nike. You do. The path is full of thorns. And you definitely need to get yourself some
expensive exploration.
Yes, you need trekking boots, and your winter wear, and it's not one of those let me walk in the park thing, right? So that's the second challenge, and I think the third challenge is it's so humongous. Where do you climb on? Do I get on the tail and get to the top? Do I hang on the neck and come in down from that side? So, and I think what's evolving is I can see enterprises take 2 or 3 paths essentially. They take the path primarily of intelligence evocation from this, or efficiency evocation from this. And the efficiency story will be led by agentic AI, where you go RPA, IPA, and generative AI with agents, right? Or you go Gen AI, where you say research, advanced research, analysis. These are the two places.
When we zoom out, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of that enterprise leader, right? There is a sense of shock that, hey, what is this? Do I need to use it, and how? I also see, because we've been at Unbox, I've been very fortunate to work on a lot of strategy level programs and workshops. We sort of help leaders craft their next few years strategy and innovation. Now AI is the bedrock of both of these things. We've done about 35 programs, and every program in the last 2 years has AI as one of the key pillars of transformation. And hence, we are also trying to guide organizations to do this better by hand-holding them. But essentially, I feel their business model is shifting and they're not seeing it. So, what's your take on that? Because I don't have to build my traditional products, because with this new superpower, the game is changing. Yeah. So, how do I deploy my resources if I have 100 people, $100 million, or whatever that is, right? Money, people, power, time, my energy basically as an organization. How do I manage the present and build the future?
There's no straight answer, because it's a very vision-led answer, Saveen. In specifically this, it is not something that I can adopt and then get moving. I literally have to have a vision. Without the vision, this becomes another program that you do, and you build some small bots. But like you're saying, the world is shifting, right? Everything is going to be in preparedness for what this is going to bring back. Am I looking at that world? No, actually I'm looking at this. I am where I am, and I'm looking at this little pet, not realizing now that everybody is going to have a dragon in the next 10 years who are all fully grown, right?
But they've tamed it well, and it's channelized well, and it's doing the right thing, and maybe my dragon may not be there.
Or like you're just in the I would say you're just thinking about this dragon. It's not about that. It's about the world where you will use it. It's not about that dragon and you're enjoying with it right now. Why I'm saying this is, vision is the biggest thing that will keep the next generation companies. And when I say vision, that means you have to see the future, not say, okay, this is my business, I'll just keep doing it every day, everything comes along.
So if I was an enterprise leader, whether it's an MSME or a large enterprise or a corporate house, you're saying take that pause ASAP and revision the future.
And really, and not just you have to envision that future, you have to see it. And when I say see, it's the seeing beyond the seeing. It is what is unseen.
Correct.
Right? So that is total imagination, because right now the rate at which it's going is not just another technology. So to sit down with everybody and all your resources to see that world when there'll be 100 dragons out there flying in the sky, right? How do I want to play? Right? So that is why I have to, this is not just some pet program on the side, right? It is based on something that will become very big in the future. And therefore that step back and not look at it, here's another technology, let me adopt it. You're very much, actually not even in the present. You're too much in the past, because you're using the past models.
So as we were talking about enterprise AI transformation, right? And as you rightly called it, the vision is to shake things up. And most leaders don't have the courage, or it's too scary in some sense. Also, it's about redefining the business model. I was reading this interesting transformation that has happened with this company called John Deere. So they are a tractor making company, and the current business model or the past business model is rather selling more tractors, waiting for farmers to buy more equipment, waiting for the replacement time. So what they did is, using AI and the tech that is available, they built something called a see and spray. So it's like 36 cameras on a panel, and then it is seeing what's on the farm. So about 2,000 square feet of land, it scans every second and just understands where should I spray the herbicide and where I should not. So if there's no need, I will not spray it there. And it has tremendous value, because all this data I think they have about 5 lakh odd tractors. All this data is collected from each farm, and then it goes into a cloud and it analyzes there and tells you, okay, what kind of land is available, how do we, make farmers more effective, save their pesticide, herbicide, at the same time give better produce. So they're in a new business model of making farmers more powerful. Rather than, so this is a new business model altogether. Now, for us to build a solution at this scale and be willing to change your business model is not easy. So what does it mean for every business leader today to say, what do we stop selling and what do we start solving? Because this powerful, intelligent engine that we have can help us solve new problems for our customers. So what do you think stops leaders from thinking that way?
I think it's perhaps visualizing that reality, to be able to say it's an elephant and then to draw it. So firstly, I don't know it's an elephant. I know it's a large, grey, pachyderm, could be a rhino,
Correct.
So I don't know. I kind of know, but I don't know. So I think that uncertainty of what that future looks like, because looks like that sort of is where it's preventing people from taking that bold step, because you can take bold step and fall straight into the gutter, right? But what is important to look at is, where will your users be? See, one of the coolest things is, while we may not have the vision, not everyone, like I may not have it, but I have enough motivation, I have enough inspiration, right, from others, like what John Deere is doing, right? I am seeing how they are using what is now available to them to change the way they do business, be more relevant to the customer. So it always goes back to the customer. So there's two things. Either you are very clearly seeing where your customer is at and you want to make sure you're with them. So you're going to go there. That's one. The second thing is you're seeing what others are doing in this space. And you can be the first to get there even before your client gets there. And you can make a difference. And if you say, how do I imagine where my client is going to be? I think the patterns are interestingly very clear.
I just had one more thought as you were speaking, that the traditional role of a technology officer has been to build solutions that works for the business, versus now with this new superpower or intelligent AI system that we're talking about, it requires you to sort of blend into the whole organization and live their life, and then build backwards as a solution, or draw up their workflow and then say, hey, this is no more needed. How do you do that?
The cool thing about where we are at, technology has now become a super collaborative function, right? So earlier it was all IT, call the IT guy, here's the server, here's the endpoint, what's with the network, where are the access points, what's with the routers, the applications. But all of this will collapse because it will become a layer of abstraction. We are moving to above it. So when you move above this layer, as we see today between infrastructure and applications, is primarily, and of course data, which is what CTOs deal with, and you abstract above it to intelligence, this goes below. So now your conversation is with your peers or with other folks in the organization as how do you collaborate as a domain, as business domain and technology domain, to create outcomes. So we have in production some very interesting programs. So we've worked with our fund managers. We are also an asset manufacturer, and the power is in this. That's what has been the biggest learning for me. We've taken lakhs of pages of research. See, if you see in the past, how would a fund manager research a company? He would go and read so many reports that by different fund houses. So let's say you're doing a Tata Motors research, you have to go look for all the research across time, see what has changed, read different views. Now, we've just absorbed those lakhs and lakhs of pages. We've collapsed time and we've collapsed context. Suddenly, our fund managers have a beautifully access to everything. What they have done, incidentally, is they have written a prompt this huge, right? So here's the fun thing. We thought we were writing the prompts, and they come and write another domain prompt, which auto-generates the best templatized analysis
And
on
personalized.
on
Yeah.
any company and based on the context, because you could generate
client,
Tata
yeah.
Motors end of earnings. Okay, Tata Motors suddenly decides to have a merger. That's a different context. So you're collapsing time and context. You're not
Yeah.
just collapsing time. And all of this, you're doing nothing. You're just sitting back. So this is what I was trying to say, that your prefrontal cortex
Yeah.
has to do this once. And of course, do maintenance mode. But all the time now that is spared for you, right, is to think what is going to be the future of Tata Motors. Really, because if you see, half the time was lost in prepping the data for the analysis.
For the thinking, yeah.
Right? And now the prep and the analysis is done. You
And
are
the-
purely
and-
consuming it, which means your prefrontal cortex hasn't even begun.
I heard the statement, I think, from Sam Altman. He said that it'll be $1 billion company with just one person
Yeah,
in it
absolutely.
and all agents.
Yes, yes.
And we had the Microsoft Asia head, Puneet, at a conference where I was there as well. And he said in his org chart, there is literally an agentic AI.
Yeah.
Along with people like you, me, and so on.
And that's
So,
the way it should be.
yeah.
Absolutely. I
So the
agree.
working in pods model, where you become the orchestrator of you thinking about the work and putting a human in the loop with an agentic
Yeah,
AI
yeah.
to do this part of the work and
That's
then do
right.
this part of the work. That
That's
becomes a
right.
bigger part of our
That's
work.
right. And I love that, because
Yeah.
what you're saying is so brilliant, because
Yeah.
it's just done something that we
Yeah.
were talking about. It's visualized.
Yeah.
It has said that basically only 1/3 of Santoshi's time goes in whatever, she should just be orchestrating, and now she has 2/3 available.
Correct.
To rethink how analysis in the world of the future, or
Yeah.
how even Tata Motors would look like with GenAI. Should I now evaluate them differently is a problem you wouldn't
Yeah.
have had time to solve because you were busy in the weeds. But if you have perhaps that's a great metric to say that how many people have their own agents which are not silent assistants. They're actually going to be able to come to the middle of the pyramid and be able to start
Deliver value,
co-creating.
yeah, co-creating.
So take away, because it's very hard to do ROI
Yeah.
when you've got an assistant model.
What time frame, if you're talking about, let's say, 100 million company and you are the leader and you take all the decisions. So how do I manage my business and invest on long-term shifts in the company that's happening in my new vision? So this new vision I need to work on, it needs a different kind of muscle.
Yeah.
And then the existing vision or the existing business model
Yeah.
needs to continue to, just to keep me alive till this takes over. So what do I do? Where do I split my energies in?
I think you have to do both,
Yeah.
because we are still in the here and now.
Correct.
So what is working this way and is not broken, we have to continue.
Yeah.
Having said that, we know it will break at some point, so we need to build that too. I think the most effective people, and I am seeing that, are now breaking away and doing their own thing because they are free of the structural. See, this is going to also break structures.
Yeah.
Organizations are defined by structures. The moment you create intelligent symmetry and somebody has figured out how to fly this thing, right? You don't need that structure. Very minimalist structure.
And the deep expertise that you may have in the current business model. For example, you and I can't build the John Deere thing.
Yes.
We don't know the customer's problem deep
Yes.
enough.
Yes.
So they know that. And
Yeah.
using that to
You
build
have
this
to,
new
yeah,
business
of
model
course.
has to be done.
Yes.
So leverage your
Domain.
deep domain expertise and build AI. And this is
Yeah.
what we talk about in dual fluency,
Absolutely.
which we spoke
and watch
last-
the
yeah.
customer evolution. See,
Yeah.
while your domain is there, if it is not applied
Yeah.
to the concept of the new North Star,
customer, yeah.
right? Then I think that is important, and this is
Yeah.
where it has come. But also apply it not in the patterns you have known. So that's
Yeah.
the other thing,
Yeah.
that we are trying to apply it in a known pattern
Yeah.
of a system that does not apply to those patterns at all. It's not
Anymore,
relevant.
yeah. How do we help these leaders who are stuck in their bubble, who are for a good reason, like because they've been doing their own domain and now this new force has come in and they don't know the power of it, and at the same time they're so consumed by their domain of the old
Yeah.
or the archaic business model. What should we do to shake them up?
One good place to start is start from where you are. Because trying to tell someone, oh, there is this mountain, on that mountain there's a beautiful hut, and in that hut, okay, it all sounds like a great idea. Lovely, how beautiful. Let me get back to my thing, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have to always start from where you are or where they are.
Correct.
So that conscious conversation on where am I, and do I really, and the where am I in its complete honesty will tell you how much they are really seeing this, which means now you have to say, okay, I'm going to hold your hand and at least show you a picture of the mountain, if not take you up the mountain, right? Because you are not even able to visualize this mountain. So starting from where they are to showing them what their future potentially looks like.
Correct.
Right? And then putting in, and these are, the reason I keep saying these are bold decisions, because you still got to run your, the daily bread is coming, and I have to suddenly now set up a factory which is not going to make money for 4 years, and take a bet. And one thing I have seen in especially listed companies, and you've got so much of governance and pressure on market performance, that that's why you see the startups and the pure tech companies are so bold and brave, because they
have nothing to lose.
They don't care about these daily reporting and earnings, and they can be very bold.
Correct.
But while we don't want to go there, but we definitely want leaders to start acknowledging, because currently there's two things that's happening. Yes, it's there. I need to get on with it. So I start looking at it bottom up.
One of the things we do in our innovation programs is to bring diverse minds together. So, which also I think is important for somebody to have a conversation with somebody like you who has dabbled in AI and knows tech and build stuff, and say, hey, what are these things? And I may I may get to hear things that I don't like. That next 2 years from now I may not need to hire a single person, and you may say that to me, and I should be thinking, okay, then how do I do my business and things like that. So we were working with the retail company, and one of the problem statements we worked on is that today Santoshi comes on a platform and purchases whatever she wants on this retail platform, but cut to tomorrow, we will have Santoshi's agent who's going to come on my platform and make the purchase. So, but is my platform ready for it? Because the way I use psychology to make you buy things, does that work with an agentic AI who's trained to see through all of this? Or how the clicks happen or how the selection happens could be very different or very logical.
Absolutely. I think even the process of right now me ordering on Swiggy, going to my phone, opening the Swiggy app, selecting, all these layers will collapse, Saveen.
And you'll just talk to it.
You'll just talk, it will, that is why it is the AI as an OS, right? It will decide. You just say, order me this from this place, and it will decide everything.
Which is the best nearest place.
If you don't have that, what's the alternate? You will be opening nothing, you will be touching nothing. The modality is going to switch to voice heavily, from touch to voice and vision. And the fun part is like going into it not knowing,
and
to bravely go
and keep exploring, as you said.
Yes,
absolutely. We were, again, you could validate this, we were studying the top 1,000 companies that have integrated AI successfully, and the top 260 of them actually found business value. And one of the common patterns we found there is they went into deep and narrow strategy. So pick one function, go fully deep, and end-to-end shift it. Rather than sprinkling agentic AI or assistant AI or access to Copilot or everywhere. Right?
So there are two things actually. Given that the cost is like a baselined number, you have, it's a flat line, it is not moving. Either you have to go broad and have 100% adoption. So you've taken out something, but it's better to go deep. So you have both these strategies. Either you have widespread adoption. So what happens is then the next level, the organization lifts everybody up to the next level. Because without that adoption, you really can't go up. Or you go so deep that you've recovered that baseline cost just simply by going very, very deep. And the deep strategy is always the most effective one.
And the other thing that you were mentioning is, now the few people who've started adopting really well, they want more things because they see this dragon having more power.
Yeah.
And then we can't really build at an enterprise level for those extreme folks because the cost is going to just scale up because this baseline is going to just go higher.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that? Or did I sum
That's
it up?
happening. No, you're right. That's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's literally, it's like saying you've got all these F1 drivers in training, and there's one Schumacher who will push it into its ultimate gear and spin it, and he'll want more and more and more. Can you do it at the cost of the whole team?
Yeah.
Can you support these? These are very philosophical, and that's why I say about the vision question.
Correct.
If the leader is able to see this, leaders who are able to see that I've hit pay dirt because I got this one guy, and I just need to put my bet on him, the emerging Schumacher, right? And if you got the right bet, you got it all.
Yeah.
Key thing for everyone to keep in mind, people, is that failing is important, but failing at what 100 people have already failed at is like just going out there and valiantly fighting without a gun or nothing, I'll just solve it.
Yeah.
So I think that people need to be careful of, because the talent in the market is very small.
Yeah.
The talent pool is very small. The thinkers on how this thing actually builds up philosophically and then evaluation framework wise, very few people have that. So that's the gold. Otherwise, like, you'll go 2 steps out and you'll get knocked down and you'll come back and you'll say the program is a failure. I'm losing so much money. You'll blame generative AI. But actually it is not that. It's just you can't handle the power of this thing because, it's like trying to get onto a buckaroo. It knows it'll throw you off.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So somebody was telling me this, that it's worthwhile to take a 6-month break and just consume everything there is about AI and just redesign everything.
It's a moving target.
Right? It is. Yeah.
So everything you thought you consumed, the target has moved. So there is something called the bare minimum, the minimum that you should know. It's like saying I need a learner's license to get on the road.
On the vehicle,
if you go in without learner's license, then you will harm yourself in terms of bringing up cost. So I think this understanding what that learner's license is, you can take the car out to drive. And that has already been established. So a lot of mistakes we made in how to build memory systems. So today, initially when we built it, everybody has made the same mistake in terms of leveraging the AI, the generative AI's inferencing capabilities. Now we've realized it just consumes a lot of tokens. So once something is inferenced and is an incremental inference, how can we take it off? Because token optimization. So slowly but surely, we are starting to build memory. And we are mapping. The answer to this thing that we are increasingly discovering is you are mimicking. The more you mimic the human brain, when you design Gen AI systems, the more successfully you will build it. And people have discovered that we've done all sorts of crazy shit to only realize, it blasts here, it bombs there. But what you should have discovered by then is your rails are titanium. You should know structure of materials. We have theory of materials in engineering, the subject. So you have like that. You should know
what's
some things, and that's already been discovered. So no need to worry about how will I get it, because somebody's already discovered that.
Amazing. I also wanted your thoughts on how do we build faster? Should we start at the top of the food chain within an organization, get clarity there, and then go down, as always, because it starts from the vision, as you said. But let's say the vision is clear that this is how the new food app is going to be interacting with its customers. It's very evident. Like you and I can see it, I'm sure somebody else can see it. But now the question is, if I'm a founder of Zomato or Swiggy, I'm like, hey, this is my business and that's a new business. Do I go there, or what would I do? How do I go into an execution mode on that?
So first thing is, it cannot be divorced from where you are at, because this is your business. So if you are I think of a very interesting story. They say that in the time when the first car, the Ford model came in, before that you had horse carts and companies that were in the whip business. And was it your story? I don't know, but I've heard it. So you in the acceleration, if you consider yourself to be in the acceleration business, you'd still be in the business when cars came in. But you consider yourself to be in the whip business and you're gone. So the first question arises on how do you see your business, because it's going to be an evolving business. So anything we do, if you're doing it for something which is of the past, it's not about this that has failed, it's about you who have not visioned this to be there. This cannot just solve for, if you apply to the wrong problem, then it's going to go off anywhere. But to your question on building fast, so this, I look at it as two ways. Everybody wants to build fast. Fail fast, build fast is a great thing, because the reverse of fail fast is succeed fast. So they're always a couple, they come together. Right? If you don't fail, then you do succeed. And if you do fail, you stand up and do it again till you succeed. So I think to fail fast, ethos, a certain muscle is there. Otherwise, it is really science or stupid. Right? So just because I want to fail fast, I cannot build, I cannot just do fast. I will fail only, continuously fail. Right? So when we talk about how can we move faster towards the goal, is to pick small problems. See, like I said, companies are also solve that path. How do I go from 0 to 1? I choose either I solve for efficiency or I solve for intelligence. First step. So first, where you are, put all the fears on the table, take it out. Second step, you think about, am I solving for, is my business intelligence heavy or is it operations heavy? Do I want to solve for this? Do I want to solve for this? Okay, let's say I want to solve for operations heavy. So you are heavily pivoting to agentic AI, right? Now, are there already models, and what kind of operations? We're looking at delivery operations, we're looking at service operations. Already there are models out there. So the good part is, again, frameworks are canned and available. So to take you from 0 to 1 is very fast. Now to go fast from 1 to 2, you need to have a team that knows how to fail fast, otherwise you lose money very fast.
So it all has to be, the mindset has to be similar and experimental and failing fast together.
Yeah, and also one other thing, companies sort of use the word experimental, and I have seen situations where experiments have been done on large technologies and have really screwed them. Output of what you have built. So it's almost like having a twisted spine to begin with, and without realizing, you've built on that and you've built on that, and now you've built so much that you have now built on a twisted frame.
And now it's
so
difficult
be careful,
to straighten it,
about who you throw at the problem. If you want to fail fast, don't throw kids. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with kids. They are brilliant, but always have someone to check. Like we say, AI itself is a builder, right? Today, if I have a huge data platform, if I load a lot of my code on it, it gives me the entire lineage of processes. It refactors my code. It can do it all for you. Now you need a driver for that car, and I'm just saying this is where experience matters, or at least some experience. Kids these days are brilliant at this, by the way. They're probably better at it than tenured folks, but there is a experience of a tenure in terms of somebody who is not bought into the past pattern. So this is where tenured experience becomes very valuable here, is that tenured experience that is not married to the past. And it's pretty brave about the future with young folks who have no problem grappling with this pet of theirs, and that you have gotten from 0 to 1. Then when you go from 1 to whatever else it is, you do have tenured folks, because understanding data, its nuances, young kids are not going to experiment with that, but they would make for great wide-angle thinkers.
Because they started there.
They're native, absolutely right. They are native, but building principles, structural principles don't change. Right? Design patterns for structural integrity don't change.
Final thing would be any recommendations on what to read, what to consume, what has helped you?
There's so much. I don't know where to start.
So just some directional elements that could help whoever is consuming this, right? Like top 3 recommendations.
Oh my God. You asked me to pick a favorite child. Now that you're putting me on the spot, I can think of nothing. But I don't know. Few things I think is watch a few sci-fi movies to begin with. So you know.
This is really interesting.
Because if you ain't believe in this, you please believe it.
Because it is happening.
It is happening, and not very far away. Having said that, the reason I'm not recommending, of course, if you go to Perplexity, the best of AI is curated for you.
Yeah.
So I don't need to. But what is important in terms of reading is where you're at.
Yeah.
So do you want to read about frameworks? Do you want to read about where companies are going? You want to read about what? So what I typically do a lot of reading is, how do you build models that start mimicking the human brain? So there's a lot of deep work.
There's a lot of thinking about thinking.
There's a lot of thinking about thinking, yeah. So if you ask me, I would just end up picking a lot of technical stuff. But I think in the plethora of stuff that's out there, there is everything from how our world changed from a very quantum level, AI in quantum and AI as consciousness, and I follow all these crazy podcasters out there, to what is a real business problem, to enterprise snafus and successes, all the way to technical, structural. So we could put together a compilation of nice reads. But the cool thing about this is that everyone who is really, there are professors at IIT who have such phenomenal views. I mean, you could actually, the other day I was discussing with someone that I want to just do nothing but just sit and consume this content all day because it's so brilliant, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this was a great conversation. I personally got to learn a lot. Any closing comments, any thoughts that you want to share?
No, I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and it's been brilliant. It's always brilliant talking to you, Saveen. It's a new world. It's a very exciting time to be alive.
Absolutely. And I honestly believe that the thought leaders in the world have the responsibility to share more and drive this thinking more, because I think some of us are blessed with the way you think, and we've worked hard on the way you think. And the power of influence that we carry has to be leveraged in the right way to make people feel safer in this new realm.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole purpose of doing this. And thank you for accepting the invitation.
Most welcome. Always here for you. Thank you so much.
All right.